in Gaylord, or online at ZarimbaEquipment.com, or Pioneer Diesel in Traverse City, or PioneerDiesel.com.
We tend to think about taxes only in April, but what if you have a tax question in the other 11 months? Turn to the experts at H&R Block of Mayo. They're open all year round, Monday through Friday, 8 to 4. Whether or not you filed an extension, it's not too late for H&R Block of Mayo to help you get the biggest refund possible. Visit hrblock.com to get started today. All tax situations are different. Not everyone gets a refund. Limitations apply. See hrblock.com/guarantees.
Good morning, Northern Michigan, and welcome to Friday Faceoff on Up North Sports Radio, brought to us by Cherry Capital Airport. Jerry Coyne and Rich Calkins live in studio here in Grayling after a whirlwind night in the D.
Yeah, Jerry, you were down there in that sea of humanity of over 275,000 people, a record-setting night for day one draft there in Detroit, and you were a part of it.
It seemed like way more than 275,000 people, I'm telling you. First and foremost, kudos to the city, kudos to the NFL, man. My son and I were down there. We got down about 4 o'clock, picked up our NFL media credentials. That room was crazy. I showed Rich a couple pictures. I'm going to post some photos that we took on the Up North Sports Radio page in a little bit here, so you guys can check that out. Although, if you watch the draft, you got a pretty good look at a lot of stuff that was going on. But, yeah, the city looked fabulous.
Yes, it showed well on TV.
Well, you know, I don't know if you went down for any of the Super Bowl back in 2005, okay, when it was at Ford Field. And if you went just a couple of blocks away from Ford Field, and right past Hockey Town, there was a lot of desolate buildings and all that stuff. That doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
I mean, downtown Detroit is spectacular. They've done a fabulous job.
They have in 15 to 20 years, the reclamation project that has taken place. This really is a whole new Detroit.
There's no doubt about it. And the way they had fences and gates, and we walked down to Hart Plaza. They were having some concerts there, and then Big Sean did his show but man, I got to tell you, Rich, I don't get it. I mean, those people stood up, like 160,000 people stood up for what, 5 hours?
Right. Yeah, because, again, the people in the actual airport hangar, as I call it, the draft theater, they have some seats because they pay.
There was 2 bars there.
Yes, they pay big money for that.
They did, and they had waitresses, and that was pretty nice.
But where you see that mass of humanity, there's no seats.
No.
They're standing on concrete.
And they were quite like if you were in the epicenter of that crowd, I mean, it took you like 10 minutes to like worm your way to go get a $42 beer and then come back. And so, yeah, it was quite the experience. And I know that, that's why everybody went. They wanted to experience something that you're probably never going to see again.
Exactly. And that's why I'm going down this afternoon and hoping to get in to that area. I may not because of the, it's a Friday night in Detroit. And
there'll be less people there. You shouldn't have any problem. You'll have a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's what my son.
Wear that.
Wear
what you're wearing.
Oh, I'm wearing. This is why I wore it here because I'm leaving right after the show here and heading to the D.
We went to Ford Field, and we're going to talk to Ellen Trudell here in a few minutes from the Detroit Lions. She's the director of communications, and Ford Field was packed. When they shut down the NFL zone, most of the overspill came to Ford Field.
Okay.
And so I would estimate there was probably 25 or 30,000 people in Ford Field. Wow. My son and I were the only 2 people in the building that weren't wearing Lions stuff.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. And Ellen will start talking about some of this stuff because she's got all the stats and everything else. But, it was Detroit Lion Mania is a real thing.
It's a real thing, yeah. When they panned away and they showed the drone shots above the crowd and stuff, and what was Honolulu Blue stood out like crazy.
Although we did see, like you saw the close-ups, whenever when Williams was picked and they panned to some Bears fans.
Right.
When I was walking around, I ran into the group of guys that obviously the Commanders sent. I think what happens is each team gets some super fans.
Sure.
I don't know if they necessarily send them themselves, but they make sure that they get
first access.
Yeah, they get they're all seated in the zone,
right,
up near the stage. And then, to get that reaction shot.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. That guy in the Lions, the guy that wears the bibs all the time with the helmets, I see him every year. He's always
Ellen's got a story about him.
Oh,
so
okay,
he's
okay.
He's famous.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. In the games I've been to, I've seen him every time.
He's not as famous as the guy that was robbed all the banks. That was a Kansas City Chiefs super fan, but
that's true.
He's pretty famous.
Yeah. Because that guy's more infamous as well.
But talking about the draft, like I said, we'll talk to Ellen here in a few minutes to get a bit of better flavor of Lions fever at Ford Field. But it went pretty much according to plan, chalk.
It did.
Until Atlanta.
What
the hell?
Decides to take Michael Penix Jr. when they just signed Kirk Cousins to over $100 million guaranteed.
$180 million was 110 guaranteed.
Yeah, you're just like, wow, really?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't see that one coming. That's for sure.
No, and the Vikings were doing backflips.
They were, because they wanted McCarthy, and that helped them out.
Yep.
And to match McCarthy with Kevin O'Connell when he's not up in Gaylord. He's working there for the Minnesota Vikings, and it's just worked out. He went to the right spot.
The Vikings had a really good draft.
Yeah.
Then they moved back up and got Griffin.
Well, they got the guy from really, really good draft for sure.
But the Lions were over the moon
for Terrion Arnold.
Yeah.
Oh, to get another Alabama cornerback.
Yep.
Which, of course,
people were slotting that to maybe the Lions would take Kool-Aid McKinstry, but Arnold is 5 times the player.
Exactly. Yeah. Kool-Aid has the cool name, of course, and everything. That's what's brought him a lot of attention. But when people went and scouted Kool-Aid McKinstry, they kept seeing, who's this other guy over here on the other cornerback spot? Because he's actually playing better than Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
And he's 6 foot tall, 190 pounds. And anytime you get a defensive back that's coached by Nick Saban, fundamentally they're the real deal.
I was kind of surprised the Chargers took Alt.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised that they got an offensive lineman, but they're all pro, plays right tackle, and that's what Alt plays. Yes. So one of those guys is going to have to move over, but Jimmy is going to run the football.
He is,
absolutely.
Yeah, that.
And I think I don't think anybody in the world will be surprised that Blake Corum is drafted by the Chargers today.
Not at all. And he's going to have at least 4 or 5 tight ends on this roster as well, because he loves them some tight ends.
Yep.
And they need to block. He's not looking for a receiver at tight end. He's looking for a guy that'll block and do the.
There was some other odd deals, like the Chargers go ahead and take Knicks. The Broncos.
Broncos, yeah, they got desperate.
I think, yeah, they so 6 quarterbacks in the first 12 picks.
All offensive players the first 14 picks. There wasn't a defensive player till number 15.
Number 15. Latu from UCLA.
Yes, was the first defense.
And so I was listening to the Lions draft coverage. With Stoney.
Yes, exactly. From 97 one there. Yes.
And Valenti and those guys. Yeah.
I was listening to that, watching 2 different. It was.
And then you were listening to the same thing I was, and all of a sudden there's when they haven't taken a defensive player, everybody from the Detroit side of things is going like, we're going to get a really, really good player here.
Yes. It couldn't have worked out better.
Could not have worked out better. The Dallas Turners, who the Vikings moved back up. The NFC Central is going to be difficult next year.
Oh, it is deep for sure.
Yeah, I think the Lions, if you can get out 50-50 against your divisional opponents, that's probably going to be a good thing.
It is a good thing for sure. No, I mean, Green Bay is good. The Bears are up and coming. Minnesota right now, they are definitely on the uptick, and that's what a lot of the morning shows today are talking about. That NFC North there is going to be one of the best divisions in all of football.
No doubt about it. And so the Lions moved up, 4 spots?
Yeah, 5 from 29 to 24.
So that got a third pick from Dallas. What is Dallas doing?
I don't know. I don't think they know. It's like, wow. They have got many needs.
Well, the Guyton kid that they drafted is a pretty good offensive lineman.
He is super athletic.
Yeah, he's going to help the Cowboys. There's no doubt about that. That's who the Cowboys took at 29.
Yeah.
But a couple other interesting things. Like, I was surprised that the Raiders took Bowers. They took the Notre Dame tight end last year, the guy that a lot of people thought would go. The Lions were going to draft.
There, yeah.
So I don't know if they're looking like it. They're going to do what New England did with Hernandez and
Gronk.
Yeah. I mean, that was pretty effective for a couple of years
there. They were
the
first team to do that. And you're like, wow, this is pretty genius.
Yeah. So with Gardner Minshew
as their quarterback,
because they did not. I don't know if they're going to if they're looking at Spencer Rattler here in a couple of rounds. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, Spencer Rattler was projected to be the number 1 pick in the NFL draft.
That's right. Yeah, because he was coming out of high school. He was the man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he had a pretty South Carolina that he was at.
They ended up there, right? Because he was at Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And then got displaced there by Williams, I think, and then went to South Carolina, ended up redeeming himself pretty well.
Yeah. I was a little surprised that the Dolphins took Chop Robinson where they did. I thought that there was better players there, and then the Chiefs go out and get Xavier Worthy.
Does that just not fit? I mean, you're just like, of course they do.
Yeah.
The fastest receiver known to mankind.
But you know who traded him that spot? Was the Bills. The Bills don't even have a wide receiver. They trade
you want
to
the fastest guy? Okay, go.
Yeah, why don't you take him?
Yeah.
What is Josh Allen going to do? Are they going to run the single T and he's going to run behind them?
That's exactly what they're going to do. They're all going to wear leather helmets. Yeah. And that's what's going to happen.
That was nutty to me. I mean, because those two are kind of got a rivalry going on.
Absolutely.
I mean, look, hell, the Bills legitimately were a missed field goal from going to the Super Bowl.
That's right.
Yeah.
And they have cap issues, so they had to get rid of a lot of them on defense, but also they traded away their best receivers.
Yeah. They've got 2 really good tight ends, though.
Yes, they do.
Yeah. So
Kincaid is one. Is he one of them? And then
they've got 2 top flight tight ends. And they're going to run the football a hell of a lot more with Cook Kid.
Yeah,
but
which they
obviously, I don't know, if Keon Coleman, he'd look good in a Lions uniform.
Oh, he sure would. A big physical guy on the outside. Absolutely, that wingspan at 6'5". And he really did well down at Florida State this year for sure. After transferring from Michigan State.
Yes, he did. But, we're going to get Ellen Trudell on the phone here to give you folks a little bit better flavor of what the night was like at Ford Field and how the Lions' perspective was. So let me just get that up. Well, some other thoughts you had, Rich?
Yeah, just again, I was really, for this one draft, I was obviously, tuned in like I am at every draft. But again, I really wanted the city of Detroit to shine through. And it just, by all accounts, everywhere, they absolutely did that. And it just, to the surprise of many of the NFL network guys, to the ESPN guys, per person, they were so happy with the way Detroit came through. So that was great to see. And
hi, how are you?
Typical fashion.
Hold on a second. We're going to go right on the air here. Ellen Trudell, are you there?
I am here. How are you, Jerry?
Great. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for the hospitality last night at Ford Field. Obviously everybody from a national perspective is talking about how great Detroit looked at the draft, but man, Ford Field itself was electric.
It was. I mean, it's amazing. I know I told you this story last night, but for the listeners, our Lions loyal members, our fans, they show up, they show out, and obviously everyone saw that nationally. But yeah, at Ford Field, there were, I don't have an official attendance number yet, but at one, I mean, there were thousands of people there just inside the stadium, and it kind of reflects the big show out rate that we have. I mean, when we had a watch party at Ford Field for the NFC Conference Championship, mind you, just a watch party because the game was obviously in San Francisco, we set an NFL record for the biggest watch party ever with 36,000 people in Ford Field. I mean, that's bigger than some arenas, most arenas. So our Lions fans are incredible, and it's something that we've known all along, and it's honestly an honor to watch everyone else kind of come on board and realize it themselves.
Ellen, tell me about, so you had last week, you had the Lions uniform reveal party, and then you were telling me yesterday that like all of that stuff is sold out already.
Yeah, we there has been quite a few. The fervor and the excitement around our new uniforms is so cool to see, and really our new black alternate uniforms have been a huge hit. Yesterday was actually Honolulu Blue Day, as declared by the city of Detroit Mayor Duggan and our Governor Whitmer. And so there was, of course, a lot of Honolulu Blue. I think people were able to see that on air, but it was also very cool to see a lot of people in our new uniforms, whether they were the blue, the way, or the black. And it's true. We have had, a lot of requests, a lot of like, hey, where's this? You're out of this size.
Yeah.
I can only find the away and the youth, and it's like, oh my gosh, it's a good problem to have, and I can officially say that we will be well stocked well before the season. We're just working with Fanatics on the inventory now, but it was absolutely like unbelievable, to be honest. And to go, that was just a week ago that we unveiled new uniforms. Yeah. And then 1 week later, we bring the world to Detroit, and it's an amazing time to be with the Lions organization, and it's something our fans have been waiting for a very long time.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Ellen. Rich Calkins here, and when Detroit was first awarded that the draft, a few years ago.
Joe, we're on the air with the Lions now.
Absolutely, the goal right from the get-go.
I'll call you back.
Was to have the biggest day one crowd there, and obviously they did a great job in promoting everything, and all the Lions fans came out and showed true as Detroit looked great from a national perspective last night.
Yeah, that is something I actually am. I am on the local organizing committee for Detroit in the draft planning. It's called the DLOC, is what we refer to it locally, and we even have been meeting as a group with all of the different partners and collaborators to make sure that Detroit came out, showed out in the way that we did. I mean, people from all over, state of Michigan Economic Development Corporation, Downtown Detroit Partnership, Visit Detroit, Rocket Mortgage, the Detroit Sports Commission. I mean, you name it. Countless people within the city, private, public sector, that we were all committed to making sure that this was a success. And you saw the results. I mean, we were committed to have Detroit break that goal, and we did it. And honestly, the commissioner said it last night when he closed the draft. We are on pace to potentially shatter attendance records, period, and beat the entire attendance record. So if anybody's interested in coming to the draft, even from where you are, if they want to make the drive down.
He is. Rich is coming down today.
I'm coming down for Friday night and Saturday both, so I'll be there.
Perfect. Yes. So my one PSA is make sure you download the NFL One Pass app, and that'll give you all the updates and the information about what gates to enter and all the sort of draft footprint experience stuff. And I would be remiss if I didn't highlight that we have a Detroit Lions fan experience activation within the NFL draft footprint. And it's amazing. It's like a mini Ford Field, and it's replicating that game day environment. You can be announced like a player running out of the tunnel when you first walk in.
Rich won't run.
Yeah.
He won't be running out of the tunnel.
No, it's incredible. There may be some surprises in store today at the activation space as well, if anybody is able to get down there. And it is so amazing. I mean, the lines even to just get into our activation space yesterday were so long, and you saw jerseys from all different teams, and it's just an incredible thing to see.
No, yeah, Ellen, I'm certain that there'll be, I don't know, you probably know the data. What are they expecting today? Over 100,000 people?
So I don't think that I think that when we were kind of anticipating attendance, there were certain speculations and certain numbers, and
right.
I think we all knew as the organizing committee and those of us who worked on this event were like, hey, do not underestimate Detroit. Do not underestimate how much of a football city it is, how much of a football state Michigan is. Right. We were like, the capacity is going to be reached, and so I think there's every opportunity for capacity to be reached today and tomorrow if people continue to show out in the same amount. Of course, there'll probably be some drop-off. Thursday is the big one, so to speak, but you never know. I think anything is possible with this town. So it's super fun, super exciting.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Ellen, very quickly, you were also squiring Jaden Daniels around on Wednesday. Tell a little story about that real quick.
Oh yeah, no, it was very cool. So I was helping the NFL actually last night at the red carpet. So if anyone was watching the red carpet coverage at the beautiful Fox Theater, and again, I just have to plug the Fox Theater, unbelievable. It looked amazing in person. I haven't seen the coverage yet, but I hope it looked as beautiful on TV. But yes, so I was helping the NFL PR team. I got to meet Jaden and his family, and he was so excited for the night and very calm, cool, and collected. And I think that's probably what you want to see in an NFL quarterback.
Yeah.
I think it showed. He was drafted number 2 overall, and that's pretty incredible. So that's a really special moment that I'm going to remember personally as well.
No, the what stood out to me on the red carpet thing, Ellen, was that the reaction of the faces of the players when they were coming onto the red carpet. They were looking all around, and you could tell that they were just absolutely amazed at the beauty of the Fox Theater.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was stunning. I mean, it is one of those places. If you haven't been, I encourage everyone to catch a show, a concert. I'm lucky. I live in Detroit, so I get to access these spaces regularly. We actually hosted the world premiere the Detroit Lions did of Bye Bye Barry.
Right, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I've seen it about 15 times. Yep.
Yeah. So funny enough, that was my first red carpet that I did worked on for the Fox Theater, and just a few months later, we're back here. So that was also kind of another full circle moment experience. But yeah, to your exact point, like people don't know until they're there, and I think like having it in that space really sunk in for these prospects and now NFL draftees that wow, this is the big leagues. Like it's very Hollywood. It's glamour and it's right here in Detroit. And that's something to be proud of.
Absolutely. Ellen Trudell from the Detroit Lions. Thanks so much for your hospitality yesterday. I'm glad we finally got to get together and then taking the time on another really busy day to join us here on Friday Faceoff.
Of course, you are very welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
We'll be in touch. I'll see you during the season.
All right. Sounds great, Jerry. Have a good one.
All right.
All right. You too. Bye-bye. Bye. There you go. She was great. A lot of fun there, Rich. And I'm sure we'll chat a little bit more about the draft, but, it's a huge week in sports.
Oh, yeah. No doubt about it. Yeah. And one of the things, Caleb Williams, the number 1 overall pick, what he was talking about Detroit, he loves the food of Detroit. He went around them. He's had a chance spending most.
Yeah,
of the
they've been
week
here
there.
like all week long,
yes,
right?
And so he's been to these different restaurants. He goes, man, the food here is amazing.
I mean, Nick and I were so busy, but I passed like a Cuban restaurant, and I'm like, "Where's? Let's go in there."
Right, they're popping up out of everywhere now. Yeah.
No, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
You're gonna have a great time.
Yeah.
We will be back after these words from our fine partners on Up North Sports Radio's Friday Faceoff, brought to us by Cherry Capital Airport. It's time for Destination NHL. Jerry.
It's time to get away to your dream destination. Beat the winter and fly TVC to Sun and Sand. Looking for your spring break getaway? Book today. Allegiant, American, Delta, Sun Country, and United are getting you where you want to go. Visit tvcairport.com for up-to-the-minute flight schedules.
The Traverse City Record Eagles Simply the Best 2024 Reader's Choice Contest is now open. Nominate your favorite businesses, organizations, and professionals in Northern Michigan to earn them well-deserved recognition as Simply the Best. You can nominate once daily in each category now through Friday, May 10th. Our 2023 Simply the Best broke records with more than 14,500 nominations and more than 26,000 votes. Support your favorites and help them stand out above the rest. Nominate at record-eagle.com/simplythebest.
Who knew? Fresh air is a destination, a place to breathe in the lapping waves of Torch Lake and explore the tree-lined trails of northern Michigan. A place to connect with nature and each other, one-on-one, in the waves, woods, and wonder of Bel Air. When you're looking to escape the everyday, breathe in the magic of northern Michigan at Shanty Creek Resort in Bel Air and online at shantycreek.com.
Welcome back to Friday Face-Off on Up North Sports Radio. It's time for Destination MLB. I've got Kevin Klein on the phone, who's actually going to the Tigers today. Kevin, how are you?
And the team, man, with the draft and the Tigers, what a better way to celebrate Michigan sports.
No doubt about it. You know, we just got off the phone with Ellen Trudell from the Detroit Lions. Very briefly, Kevin, what did you think about last night?
Amazing night.
Yeah.
Amazing night. I think the Lions got their pick. I think that's the best corner, Arnold, in the draft out there. Couldn't get a better pick than that for our Lions. So I think we got a great secondary coming around now.
Yeah, the biggest point of need for the team, and they got probably, like you said, the best corner in the draft. And then, speaking of the corner, you're heading over to Comerica Park today. See the Tigers kick the butts of the Royals for the next couple of days. I know you've been looking at some of the other away games because, look, at the Tigers are playing some great baseball, and getting away for a couple of days and seeing them on the road would be a lot of fun.
Well, you've got the upcoming New York series. It only costs you $450 to get to New York City. Using Delta Airlines on that one coming up, and that is just an awesome experience and great price to get into New York. And then, you know, as you're looking forward down, you have Phoenix not too far away, you know, playing the Diamondbacks, and you know that's $500. And then you know, looking even further into June, that June 1st series, you're playing Boston, and that's $364. So, you know, when we look forward to what I think is all three of those cities, you got some good spring ball, but as you look for the summer and those things come, we have the nonstop flights to all three of those cities. With, you know, when you look at New York City, you have United, American, and Delta. You have Allegiant serving Phoenix. And then Boston, you have American, all nonstop, with part of our 20 nonstops and 6 airlines that we have at TVC.
Absolutely. That Boston, you know, getting to Boston and doing Fenway. Hey, what about the other airline that you signed? Because that's a Massachusetts airline, right?
Yep, it's going to go to actually New Haven, Connecticut.
Right.
It's called Avelo.
Right.
And they'll start that on June 15th.
There you go. So that's another way to get out on the East Coast and have some fun, and you can take the train to Boston pretty easily from there.
Absolutely, absolutely. And, you know, it's another low-cost airline, very similar to what Allegiant is. So you're going to see flights starting out at that $62, $65 range one way.
Well, enjoy today at Comerica Park. It's perfect weather. So enjoy that, and we'll be back with you next week on Destination MLB. What's the website there, Kev?
tvcairport.com.
Thank you, Kevin Klein from Cherry Capital Airport. We appreciate it, bud.
Thank you.
All right. There you go, Rich.
Yeah, a little afternoon baseball there at Comerica today, because knowing that the draft is this evening, so they're going to get a game in prior to the draft.
I think that Tiger game will be sold out today.
I think they're going to see a huge crowd.
You're going to see a
sure.
huge crowd there, and then they're just going to pile out and walk down the street. You know, actually, I was going to ask Ellen because Ford Field is not open today.
Okay.
But I'm wondering, like, if they had discussions about, well, maybe we should open it again today.
Right.
But they probably have some staffing issues because they had a lot of staff. It was all hands on deck.
Yeah, I can imagine that when you're having this big event, and again, so well, it appeared again from the outside how well organized everything was. It really appeared that there wasn't mass chaos. There wasn't much of it. They really did a great job.
From my, like I was down there for 5 hours. I only saw one drunk guy. Everybody was really well behaved.
Right.
And, so not only did it look good, but it seemed like everybody enjoyed themselves.
That's good. And that's what you want in it. Because, again, when you bring in fans from 31 other teams, and you know how some fandom, short for fanatic, and it just, some people can get a little annoying at times with all their things, but glad that they're able to pull that off and really just look great.
Segueing into sports, that's what Friday Faceoff is all about. Tiger baseball.
Reese Olson is going to the hill, pitched really well last
Tarek
night.
Skubel's on his way to the Cy Young.
Oh, my gosh. Has he just been down after the one time where he gave up a few home runs? And
they could have swept the Rays.
Yes.
The home run, that 2-run homer, was the cheapest home run I've seen in a decade.
I know.
325 foot.
Yeah.
Barely makes it around the foul pole.
Right.
So the guy's only second hit of the year, and the first time he's ever hit a home run.
At Comerica Park to center field, that would have been just beyond second base.
What do you mean? It wouldn't even have made the warning track in right field at Comerica Park.
It would have
Forget
been
about
a shallow fly.
Yeah,
it would have infield fly rule would have been called.
Yeah. The surprising thing that the Tigers are playing good baseball. The surprising team is the Royals.
The Royals are coming. They're 16-10.
Yeah.
They're scoring runs.
Yeah.
They are just, this is not last year's or the year before's Royals. This team is coming in red hot.
Yeah, if you bet the over on the Royals baseball, you are licking your chops, buddy.
Exactly. Yeah,
so,
they have not. This team is different. They are off to a great start.
Good for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're sitting, just ahead of the Tigers there in the Central.
Yep.
And
Cleveland's playing great baseball too. So we've got
18 and 7.
Yeah,
no question. I mean, Minnesota a little slow to come around, but you never apologize for wins. And the White Sox are a dumpster fire. They're setting the record for the all-time worst start.
They only have like 25 runs scored this year.
3 and 22.
Yeah, but look at how many runs they've scored. They haven't even scored 30 runs yet.
56.
56. Okay, I'm sorry.
But they've given up 141.
Yeah.
So that's a bad combo. Not scoring and poor defense and pitching. You're not going to go
a recipe for
a 3 and 22 record.
So Seth Lugo is going for the Royals today. He's 3-1. Yeah. So with a 2.30 ERA.
Oh,
so they're gonna. I would take the under in today's game. Yeah.
Agreed. There for sure. But like you said, that should because of the draft, everything going on around that, expect a huge afternoon crowd.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Of course, all Detroit Tiger baseball games are available right here on Up North Sports Radio. First pitch is 1:10 today, so pregame will be around 12:50. And as Rich and I like to say, the pregame is worth the price of admission when you get the A.J. Hinch show.
You do, absolutely. Dan Dickerson asking him questions, and they have a great chemistry, and you learn so much about baseball every time.
Yeah, no, it's unbelievable what he's thinking, what they see down the line, how they prepare this team. if you read about the baseball team at all, you know that they don't care if it's a long season. They're going to figure out a way to win today's game.
Exactly.
That's it.
Every day is how do we, and there's just so much more thought process that goes into it than just what you think, oh, we'll just show up and play. Oh, no. He is so strategic in everything he does.
Well, look at Riley Green and Kana both have 5-6 home runs.
I like that Marcana signing. He's really
Baez.
Javi Baez
is above 200.
Hey, it's all good at this point with Javi. He
gets to 270. Oh, he's aggressive on the base pass.
On the base pass,
and he's playing perfect defense.
He is. It's really this Javi Baez. I'll take all day and on Sunday.
No doubt about it.
I mean,
Torkelson's starting to hit.
He's looking for that. He's got to get that first home run, and once that first one goes, you'll see him. He'll go on a run of like 5 in a week.
I think so. Perez has been a nice little addition in the lineup.
He has. That kid's got some speed.
Yep.
And he's got some confidence. I like him.
But obviously the pitching is really good.
Exactly.
I don't care. Starters, bullpen. The way they're running that bullpen is it's exciting. If they stay healthy and we get a little bit more growth throughout the hitting lineup, and the Tigers are going to be a blast this year.
They are, and some of those young kids down at AAA are hitting the ball too. So it's really an exciting time to be a Tiger fan.
No doubt about it. So I'm surprised you're not going to Sunday baseball instead of
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that would be fun.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We'll be back after these words from our fine partners on Up North Sports Radio's Friday Faceoff, brought to us by Cherry Capital Airport.
Sports on the Michigan News Network.
2 more rounds of the NFL Draft will be completed tonight in downtown Detroit. At the moment, Detroit only has 1 pick for the evening after trading away 1 to get Terrion Arnold last night. They're set with pick 29 of the second round, but could again wheel and deal. Some of the best available players remaining include former Michigan State wide receiver Keon Coleman, who transferred to Florida State. He talked about which quarterbacks he'd like to play for during interviews on social media.
C.J. Stroud, watching him, we were playing against him at Ohio State. I'm like, hey, it's hard to defend that when the ball is exactly where it needs to be. I'm mad.
Now, Houston picks 10 tonight. Also, Michigan running back Blake Corum will await his name to be called after setting all sorts of records in Ann Arbor during a championship season. The Bills will be on the clock first for the 7 o'clock start. Before then, also in downtown Detroit, the Tigers begin their weekend series versus the Royals at Comerica Park. Reese Olson is set to get the start for this afternoon. They're a game and a half behind KC for second in the division. Chris Villar, Michigan News Network.
Unexpected reactions to smart financial decisions, brought to you by feedthepig.org.
Well, I finally did it. I opened a 401k.
So you're giving up? Just like that?
Giving up on what?
On getting an inheritance from a distant relative.
Don't you think if there were a billionaire in the family, we'd know about it by now?
Listen to me. We are 1 phone call away from riding horses on our own private polo grounds. 1 call from christening yachts, having a butler, using summer as a verb.
How do you figure?
Look, everyone's got a rich uncle somewhere. It's statistics. So the best thing you can do is just prepare for the inevitable.
Right, which is why I thought maybe it would be smart to take control of my finances. Start using a budget, get out of debt, set some retirement goals.
Budgets? Debt? You watch your mouth. Retirement shouldn't be a goal for us. It should be a way of life.
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Friday Faceoff on Up North Sports Radio. It's hang time at Shanty Creek. I've got Lindsay Southwell on the phone. Lindsay, what a beautiful day for golf.
Absolutely. So today we're opening all the courses, so come on out. Because this weekend's not looking the greatest. We want to make sure you get out there on opening weekend.
There might be a little rain, but, with the prices. So I was out there on Wednesday with Steve, your director of golf, and this sale that you're having for the 25th anniversary of Cedar River is, I know you already sold out this weekend.
Yes. Yeah. But we got it going on for until the 12th of May. So this sale is $30, and it gets you a tee time at any one of our 5 courses and your cart.
Yeah.
So, there are a lot of people who have Cedar River or the Legend or Hawkeye on their, golf bucket list.
You're right.
But, sometimes the wallet doesn't allow it. Now's the time to get it in.
Well, that's what, and Steve and I were talking about this. It's going to be on our Finding Fairways golf program tomorrow and Sunday. Or you can watch it on Up North Sports Radio's Facebook page. Shameless plug. Sorry about that. But Steve was telling me that people are coming up for this sale. They don't care if it's raining or not. They're playing golf.
I mean, it's golf for $30.
Yeah.
On a premier, on premier courses. So there's no better way to celebrate. So
Nope.
Rain or shine, we'll be doing it, and you should take advantage of it for sure.
Yeah, one other thing. I know you got some other stuff you want to talk about, but it's also the Shorts' birthday party is tomorrow, too. So.
It is 20 years.
20 years.
And,
Yeah.
we are partners with them. They're
Yep.
not just our neighbors.
Right.
But, we partner with them on a lot of events. And their party, always a great time.
So Bel Air is going to be smoking hot this weekend.
Absolutely.
So talk about you've got your golf camps coming up, and you better sign up for those real quick.
Yeah, so we have a few different options, especially tailored towards juniors and women's. We've seen a big resurgence
Right.
of interest for the youth and for women to get those lessons that they need. It's for all ages. So
Yep.
whether you're great or you've never done it before, everyone can always use a lesson. Everyone can always improve at golf. So we got a junior golf camp coming up. That'll be in June. It's a 3-day camp. There'll be prizes and a little tournament at the end. But for those looking for something maybe a little more casual that might be a little intense for them, we have a weekly golf
Right.
program that's going to be happening during the month of July. So you come every week for an hour of lessons and an hour of on-course play. And very similarly to the junior golf camp, we actually have a women's golf camp. We started these programs last year. People have been flocking
Yeah.
for those women's golf camp. And they are very close to selling out. So if you're even thinking about it, give us a call.
Yeah, again, your director of golf, Steve Schurman, runs all those camps, and we have a longer discussion on that on Finding Fairways tomorrow and Sunday. So if you want to get some more information about Shanty Creek and everything that's going on the golf side, then we encourage you to watch the show. Lindsay, I'll probably see you at Shorts probably about 4:30 tomorrow afternoon.
Perfect. I'll see you there.
All right. Thank you, Lindsay.
Thanks.
All right. There you go. That is hang time. A great, great time to be at Shanty Creek, Rich. Like she said, $30 to play Cedar River or the Legend and everything. Those are $100 golf. $170 prime season for Cedar River on a Saturday morning in June.
In this day and age where prices are crazy, off the thing, you could play a beautiful golf course for $30.
You can't even get on Cedar River, like I said, this weekend because of that sale. But you can still get some times on the Legend and Hawkeye or Shush Mountain or the Summit. The Summit golf course is a really good golf course as well. That's what it costs for the cart.
Yeah.
That's all they're charging you is for the cart.
That's
so,
amazing.
yeah, go to shantycreek.com and book those tee times. That sale is going till Mother's Day weekend. So even at those prices, you can take, mom out, take your wife out, take the whole family out. The Shanty Creek golf course is fantastic for families.
Right.
It's a little flatter. It's a little easier. And, at that rate, you can take the kids, even if they don't play every hole.
Right.
But it's just a fantastic experience.
That's how we introduced our kids to them. My wife and I, we'd both get a cart, drive the kids, get a little snacks for them, and so they were entertained while we were playing. It's a great way to do it.
We'll do a quick talk about this. There was other things going on than the draft yesterday.
It's hard to believe, but yes, there were. Playoff games.
Joel Embiid scored 50 points on 19 shots.
On one good knee.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
And now he released after the game, he's got Bell's palsy.
I saw that. Bell's palsy, and he put a little WWE wrestling move on the one guy with the leg there at the one.
Well, he wasn't going to, that was a violent reaction to him getting knocked down.
He got knocked down, exactly.
Yeah, and everybody's screaming at him. I go, this is a guy that's playing on one leg.
Yes.
And the Knicks are an extremely physical team to begin with.
They are.
So, I don't blame it. It's something I would have done.
Yeah, well.
In fact, I probably would have done it dirtier than that.
And the guy that knocked him him down wasn't on the receiving end of the leg grab.
Yeah, I don't care.
It was a guy in the area with an opposing colored uniform. He grabbed a hold of that leg. And so, yeah, he was upset, obviously, for that, getting knocked down and no
If it had happened in New York, he would have been thrown out of the game.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, there's no doubt. But there was no way the ref's going to throw him out in Philadelphia.
Right. Oh,
there would have been a riot.
Yes. Yeah. No, that's called the home court advantage right there. Where
we didn't talk about it because what was it? Was it Monday or Tuesday when they were beating the Knicks and the Knicks got that miracle? They didn't call. Tyrese Maxey got mugged.
Over in the corner.
Absolutely mugged twice. The NBA released that report.
Which that just helps to stir things.
BS. It's crazy. Idiotic.
Adds fuel to
the only thing the NBA should do is say we reviewed the game with our referees and we graded them subpar for the game.
In the last couple minutes.
That's right. Yeah. Or that crew is not going to officiate another game during the playoffs. That's all they should say.
Yes, because just by putting that report out for everyone, it just upsets the team that got screwed.
It was BS. Yeah. I mean, the 76ers, but man, Madison Square Garden when it's like that is insane. Is absolutely insane, man.
It is, yeah.
That's why they call it the Mecca.
But they do, absolutely.
Yeah, and then later on that night you got a very similar game out of the Nuggets and the Lakers.
Yes.
That was they were saying it on TV, and I agree with it. It was the best two games in the NBA playoffs that I've seen on the same night in. I can't even remember.
Yeah, it was
since Pistons days when we loved them.
Right, exactly. No, it was well played. It was good. It was so entertaining, And then last night the Lakers get a home game and they just can't. They're tight now. They're down 3-0.
Well, I mean, the Nuggets are great.
They're great, and that's the absolute probably worst matchup for.
Well, they're the worst matchup for anybody. I don't know if anybody can beat them, even if it's them and the Celtics.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at the Celtics. How do you lose to Miami at home
without their best player?
Yeah, with Jimmy Butler. Yeah,
it's like that. That's what's so concerning about this newest Celtics team is it just like out of the blue they will no-show you.
Yeah.
They just well,
they didn't even no-show you. There was one part of it. When you make 26 threes, you're going to beat some teams.
I mean, Hawk has there.
I told you in that what he was 21st or 22nd.
And
he's better than any guy on the Pistons.
Oh yeah, look how he is developed, and look at how he can.
I told you he'd be a good NBA player.
Yep. He went to the right organization.
He did go to. That's true.
That's helpful.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. That is 100% true.
If he would have went to Detroit, he would be in no man's
I don't know. I don't know that because he's so competitive. I watched him play at UCLA for 3 years, and he was always around the ball. There's always something going on there. So, but you're right. There's a really good chance that that the Pistons wouldn't have known what to do with him.
And lately, they've ruined more good players than they.
Yeah, I hope they don't draft a quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. Again, talking about the Pistons, but again, Miami, they do a great job in these guys because they haven't been drafting towards the top end of the draft for a long time.
No.
They've always been.
I mean, Tyler Hero, I think they got at number 10 or 11.
Yeah.
He had a really good 2 years at Kentucky, and they got him, but he wasn't he wasn't a lottery picker. He might have been at the very end of the lottery.
Right.
But you're right; they're never drafting. They didn't do the process like the Sixers have done. Right. So, but Boston is kind of. I just think that coach is out of his league. I mean, if Eric Spoelstra was coaching the Celtics, they might have not lost a game this year.
Oh, exactly. Coaching
Spoelstra is so good, and Pat Riley and those guys. I mean, they've been doing it forever. Mickey Aronson and Pat Riley have been at the head of that organization since the early '90s, mid '90s.
And it's a perfect example when you get competent people in the front office and in coaching, and they're in sync together.
Well, and it's a culture.
Yes, it's a true culture.
The reason why the Pistons were great with Isaiah Thomas is because Isaiah and Chuck Daly and who Jack
Trader Jack McCloskey.
Yeah, they knew what they wanted. They built a basketball team, and there was a culture.
They were on the same page,
and that's what the Lions are building now is a culture.
Yes.
You know, Holmes. The way it fell, all of a sudden he's going, okay, this is it. This is our guy. We're going to go get him.
And one of the reasons they love Terry on Arnold is that he plays the run. He graded out.
Well, did you hear his press conference? I'm a shutdown corner. We're going to the Super Bowl.
I'm a star. You know, and it's just and all the fans, he goes in there and grabs that selfie stick. Yeah.
Little Deion Sanders in him. I like that.
Love it. Yeah,
except for he tackles.
He tackles.
Deion Sanders does not.
He said, I don't play the run.
That's right, man. You did not draft me to tackle people.
That's right. I'm not a linebacker.
Yeah.
I cover passes and receivers.
Yeah.
Is what I do.
That's probably the most exciting thing about the Lions is that they're it's all about injuries.
Exactly.
It's all about injuries. The Lions could be a better look at. Campbell told me this last year, right? He said we could be a better football team and have a worse record. Now it didn't happen. Obviously, they probably had a better record. Than they projected, and obviously probably outperformed.
Sure.
If they're looking as an organization, if Spielman and Holmes and Campbell are all sitting in a room, they probably think they're a year ahead.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, ahead of schedule where they thought they would be. Yes.
What did you think about? I mean, obviously we had to sign Sewell and St. Brown.
Yeah, had to because. And I know initially there was a little bit of talk about, how do you pay these guys this top-end money with all this? Because there's going to be, in 2 years, these guys are going to be middle of the pack.
Probably.
Because
but the thing is and you're looking at Goff at like 50.
50 now, yeah. The longer it takes to sign him, there was talk we're going to get him for 45 to 46 at one point.
Yeah.
I think that price is going up.
They probably could have signed him going into last year, extended it out for under 40.
Yes.
They probably could have signed him for 35, 40 million. And look at what the Cowboys are going to be up against.
They're the worst enemy.
They're going to end up paying if Dak Prescott has even a reasonably good year. They're either going to have to just let him go and start all over, or pay him $70 million a year.
He waited in the last contract negotiation.
That's how they screwed it up before.
Yes.
They never got over the fact that he was a 4th-round pick.
Yeah.
Instead of looking at it, the same thing's going to happen. The Niners will not let that happen with Brock Purdy.
Right. No, they will not.
No.
And that's one of the Jerry's sales pitches to Cowboys is that the Cowboy star, when you wear that, you're going to get all these endorsement deals that most people would not get purely because
he
you're
does
a
have a sleep
Cowboy.
number bed.
Right, yeah, exactly. So, I mean, there's a certain thing, there's truth to that.
Yeah, No, it's like playing in New York.
Yeah.
When we return, we'll do a few minutes on the NHL playoffs, which, of course, are delightful.
They are.
Back after these words on Friday Faceoff on Up North Sports Radio, brought to us by Cherry Capital Airport.
Who knew? Fresh air is a destination, a place to breathe in the lapping waves of Torch Lake and explore the tree-lined trails of northern Michigan. A place to connect with nature and each other, one-on-one, in the waves, woods, and wonder of Bel Air. When you're looking to escape the everyday, breathe in the magic of northern Michigan at Shanty Creek Resort in Bel Air and online at shantycreek.com.
The Traverse City Record Eagles Simply the Best 2024 Reader's Choice Contest is now open. Nominate your favorite businesses, organizations, and professionals in Northern Michigan to earn them well-deserved recognition as Simply the Best. You can nominate once daily in each category now through Friday, May 10th. Our 2023 Simply the Best broke records with more than 14,500 nominations and more than 26,000 votes. Support your favorites and help them stand out above the rest. Nominate at record-eagle.com/simplythebest.
It's time to get away to your dream destination. Beat the winter and fly TVC to Sun and Sand. Looking for your spring break getaway? Book today. Allegiant, American, Delta, Sun Country, and United are getting you where you want to go. Visit tvcairport.com for up-to-the-minute flight schedules.
Sorry about that, folks. I'm still going to the bathroom from all the beers I had yesterday. Welcome back to Friday Faceoff on Up North Sports Radio, brought to us by Cherry Capital Airport. Rich Calkins, Jerry Coyne in studio. And, Rich, it doesn't matter who's playing whom in the NHL playoffs. The difference between regular season hockey and playoff hockey is insane.
It is. To see they flip that switch and all of a sudden, I mean, you got an occasional regular season game where the physicality is big in a rivalry game, but it's like incredible.
I don't know how they move that fast.
I know. Oh, it's just, yes.
You can't get the puck out. I mean, the level of athleticism and the want to. D'Angelo Russell they should tie him to a chair and have him watch an NHL playoff game and maybe get your ass in gear.
A late timeout. He's sitting at the end of the bench eating a
chiclets
snack and looking at his phone. And they've talked about that
at home.
And they're showing this video of it.
God, I hope I get laid.
Oh, it's just like, what is going? What are you doing?
No, I don't.
You're still in the ball game, and you're.
But I didn't want to bring that. I just the excitement level. I mean, those guys are playing so freaking hard.
Yeah.
And it's not as physical as it used to be.
But it's much more than the regular.
I really want to see a fight between Wilson and Remke.
Oh, I know.
I want to see that.
I tuned in the other night hoping I would see that. Yeah, exactly.
That kid is huge.
He's huge.
6'8".
Yeah, he is. And then he's on those skates. He looks like 7 foot out there. It's ridiculous how big he is. But Wilson's a tough dude, man.
Wilson is the Wilson
I see him in fights, and man, that guy.
He's the Bob Probert.
Yeah.
You don't.
The modern day.
Yeah, if it was the 80s or the 90s, you'd be seeing Wilson dropping the gloves every other game.
Him and Probert would be going
That's
at
right.
it for the heavyweight crown.
But I mean, that is a great matchup. It looks like Montreal's going to get run out of the.
Look, Tampa's down 3-0.
Yeah, they're done.
Yeah, I mean it's just.
No, I told you that the Panthers were the team. Now it should be Rangers and Panthers. That'll be incredible if that's what we get.
Yeah.
But Boston wants to make up for last year. They're looking pretty good. So. I haven't been paying as much attention to the West, but out west they are just pumping goals like it's
It's just like occasionally it's like
7-6.
Hellenbuck has looked. I mean, not had a good series so far.
But they are peppering. I mean, he's facing like 40 shots a game.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, they're not playing defense in that series.
No, they're not. No, they're just like the first 1 to 8 wins. Which in playoff hockey, you don't get that usually.
No, not usually.
I mean,
I was going to see where the games stand, unless you have that up front, where the series stands. Real quickly.
Let me see here. What do we have? I got some recaps.
Like
here.
you said, the Lightning is down 3-0.
Yes.
Maple Leafs are down 3-0 now, right?
They're down 2-1.
2-1.
The Leafs did win that game 2, 3-2.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So but again, but it goes back. It's at Toronto on Saturday night, tomorrow night. At 8 o'clock. So that's so Toronto did get a win. So that good for them because
they needed it.
They did in the worst way, for sure.
What are the games tonight on the docket? Here we go. So the Rangers the Rangers are playing Washington. They're up 3-0. That's at 7 o'clock tonight. Vancouver is at Nashville. That series is knotted at a game apiece. The Avalanche Winnipeg and Colorado that's a really good series. That's at 1 game apiece. And Edmonton and LA are playing tonight. That's at 1 game apiece. So we got a lot of playoff hockey to go.
When you watch Edmonton and Connor McDavid and Draisaitl, it's just like they're talk about talent. It's just ridiculous.
They are so ridiculously close to Messier and Gretzky.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
It's like, I mean, you should not be able to do the stuff they do with skates and sticks and the way.
Well, and Draisaitl is fantastic. Like you put him on the Red Wings, and they're boom, all the way to here. But McDavid is twice as good as Draisaitl.
Because he's feeding. McDavid hasn't scored a ton in the play, but he's feeding Draisaitl.
Well, he had 7 assists.
Yeah.
7 assists in a hockey game.
He made an assist the other night. I'm just like going, how did he thread that needle?
Yeah, and Draisaitl, it was wide open at the net.
Right into the net, exactly, because the goaltender was all the way to the right side, and Draisaitl was just standing there, and McDavid found him.
Well, they got 3 guys are trying to guard McDavid. Yeah,
exactly.
No, he is as talented. Actually, when you see him on the ice, he looks way more talented than Gretzky ever did. There was something about Gretzky who just knew where to put the puck and everything else.
Exactly.
But the athleticism, the skating ability, the puck handling ability of McDavid is
far superior.
I don't know if I've seen anybody. It's a different era and everything else, but he's got a little Bobby Orr to him, like that. Just like you can't touch him.
Right? Yeah, it stands out. On ice, you're like, oh, that cat's different.
Yeah, but we want. If I've got my first pick, that's who I'm taking.
Sure.
Matthews is a really good player in Toronto, but he's not in.
No, not in the same class as what McDavid is.
No, the only other guy that I see in the NHL that's close to him is Makar.
Yeah,
now Makar's a defenseman and he plays really differently, but he's got a little Bobby Orr in him. He plays really good defense, but when he needs to join the offensive play, he's just dangerous.
He's dangerous and he's super smart.
Yeah,
you just you don't trick him. You just he knows when to, like you said, jump into the offensive end and when to get back.
He never turns the puck over. Yeah. And when he's on the ice, it's really difficult to score.
It is, exactly.
So, it's, we'll get Keith Gavin here maybe next week if we can pry him away from the fishing as trout season opens today. At midnight, I believe, tonight. So it's, going to go. Yeah, we got the Trout Festival in Kalkaska, and the old Asabo Fly Shop has their party today. So if you're a fisherman or fisher lady or however you pronounce that, then check out. I believe it starts at 3 o'clock this afternoon over at the old Asabo Fly Shop.
Always an exciting time up there.
There's no doubt about it, and the weather couldn't be better.
Yeah, it's going to be perfect.
So have a great trip down to Detroit.
Thank you. Looking forward to it.
And we will be back here with you next Friday on Friday Faceoff, brought to us by Cherry Caballero. But don't forget Tiger Baseball here at 12:50 on Up North Sports Radio, and Finding Fairways at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning and Sunday morning. Or you can check it out. If you want to see this show or you missed it, came in late or whatever, you can go to Up North Sports Radio, see all our recorded shows of Friday Faceoff or Finding Fairways, which will be live tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock as well.
Yep, good stuff.
Thanks, Rich.
Thank you.
The Penix Jr. pick. I don't hate the idea of a quarterback for Atlanta. I just don't. I think it's forward thinking. I think it's interesting. Cool, be bold. But I'm really interested both in your perspective on just that happened and your view on that quarterback in particular, given that we obviously now know he's going to get some years to develop and will not be expected to play tomorrow.
Well, how you worded that question kind of sets this up perfectly. I don't think most people, most draft analysts, including myself, had a huge gripe with Penix, the player, even being that surprise pick at number 8 overall. That happens all the time. We see it every year. There's usually 1 or 2 surprises, even as early as inside the top 10. It was with the Falcons' process and what they've done this offseason, signing Kirk Cousins, giving him so much money guaranteed. They really can't get out from the deal until after 2025, so 2 more seasons to have him on the roster. And then they pick a older quarterback to be a redshirt for a year or 2 or maybe even 3. And then, as their GM, Terry Fontenot, mentioned, hey, if he doesn't play for 4 or 5 more years, that's great because that means we've had great quarterback play from Kirk Cousins. While that's true, I think they could have gone in 50 different directions to help this team right now. Everything else that they have done this offseason has indicated that they feel like the NFC South is there for the taking and they want to try to win now. So to pick a quarterback there at 8 and maybe not even, hey, let's trade back a little bit to get an extra pick, then pick Michael Penix, I think it was more about the process in and of itself as opposed to Michael Penix, the prospect, big arm, made all those throws and really ascended into becoming a big-time prospect at Washington after transferring from Indiana. So more about the process than the player, which is why that was kind of a head-scratching pick, in my opinion.
Chris Trapasso here on the show. Chris, obviously a lot of QBs taken, 6 in the first 12 picks. Let me ask you about quarterbacks this way. mixing. Now we know where guys are. Before, experts like yourself, where are they going to go? Now that we know where they're going, not who's the better quarterback per se, but between Michael Penix Jr., as we just discussed in Atlanta, and J.J. McCarthy with the Vikings, and Bo Nix with the Broncos, which of those quarterbacks, with who they are, and now given their situation and what we know about those organizations, is the most likely, when you and I are talking in 3 or 4 or 5 years, to have been a success?
J.J. McCarthy, and was no hesitation there for a reason. I don't think it's particularly close. That was a situation there with Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Hawkinson, a head coach who was a former quarterback. You bring in Josh McCown on that staff. There's just so much quarterback friendliness to that offense, and that's the type of situation that J.J. McCarthy has been in going back to his IMG Academy days in high school. Then he was there at Michigan, obviously, was never really asked on a consistent basis or for long stretches to be, a 40 to 50 attempt per game guy. But when the Michigan team needed him to make a big play against Alabama or Ohio State or in the national title game, he did that. So I think that's the situation that he will find himself in Minnesota. They won't ask him to do too much, and he can make easy elementary throws to Justin Jefferson and to Addison and Hawkinson, and they can make bigger plays out of it. The run game will still be good because the offensive line is there. I think I probably would have pegged this for any of the quarterbacks, but Penix would have been kind of a weird fit because he's not super mechanically sound. J.J. McCarthy, I think, is going to be fine to start and could ultimately grow into that big-time, like top 10, or maybe in 3 or 4 years we'll be talking about him as a top 5 quarterback, given the situation and the traits that he has to grow as a quarterback.
Chris Trapasso crushing it here on the show. Chris, let me drop a little further in the draft because I'm going to talk about this later. I haven't hit it, but I just think it's interesting and maybe not awesome if you're a Buffalo Bills fan, that Buffalo, who need a receiver, trade out of their spot in the first round, which is way at the bottom, but still 20th pick to the Chiefs, who obviously they have not been able to go through. They just lost Buffalo at home to the Chiefs, and the Chiefs take a wide receiver out of Texas. Who's the receiver? What do you think about this young man? And obviously, most importantly, how does he fit potentially into that ridiculously effective and dangerous Chiefs system?
Yeah, well, first I'll say that Xavier Worthy, it's kind of funny that my comparison before the draft, and I don't know if I said it on this show when I was on earlier, was a more polished version of Marquise Brown. Now he's going to play alongside Marquise Brown, who the Chiefs signed in free agency. They're both smaller, pretty skinny speedsters that I think Xavier Worthy, of course, to run 4.21, people know how fast he is, but just that presence, even if he's not catching a 70-yard touchdown in his first game, he's going to take the lid off the defense and create a lot more space underneath for the run game, for, now 35-year-old Travis Kelce at the intermediate level. He's going to make life a lot easier for Patrick Mahomes, which it seems like it's already pretty effortless for him in most games and even when he gets into the playoffs. So they're getting someone that runs pretty good routes. He plays bigger than his size, even though he's like 170 pounds. He'll lower his shoulder. He'll bounce off tacklers every once in a while. It's not going to be his specialty, but is not just someone that is only a down-the-field guy. I think teams can sometimes get worried about redundancy. Oh, we already have a slot receiver. Let's not draft another one. The Chiefs realize that Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes can do some special things in some unconventional ways when you set up your roster. So I think to have two legitimate burners in Marquise Brown and now, of course, Xavier Worthy, I think we'll maybe see kind of a switch in what the Chiefs want to do offensively and get back to some of those deep passes that we saw during the Tyreek Hill era.
I'm Bill Ryder. This is Ryder Than You, talking to Chris Trapasso from CBS Sports. Chris, one of the reasons I love having you on is that a thing that annoys me, more on the NBA side because that's my area of expertise, but in the NFL too, is the laudatory nature often of draft coverage. At least in the NBA space, every guy is the greatest player ever. Nothing's going to go wrong with every pick. Yeah. And I don't know if you saw this, but my former colleague Peter Schrager made that point, and I thought it was really interesting. I don't think it applies to you, but I'm curious, as someone who does this and moves in that community, do you think it was a fair criticism from someone who does what you do to say that draft coverage is often way too positive?
100%. I mean, you can look on Twitter or on X. I did live real-time grade, just a big thread, pretty much what Pete Prisco did for the website. I did it on Twitter last night, and there were some D-plus grades, C-plus grades. I mean, I think it's probably somewhat hard when you're on the air and it's on you to talk about a team's pick and you just don't like the player. but I've always said it on this show, and I write it and tweet it all the time. It's actually one of the things I love about my job, watching all these prospects. I have a grading system that I go through, certainly subjective, but it's my thoughts. Those grades come out pre-draft, and I can't go back on it. I can't say, oh, well, I kind of like this player a little more now because he landed here. My grades are my grades. My scouting reports are there. So, yes, I do think, especially in the first round, that there's just so much hype for it. We have to just look back at history. If this first round, half of these players are really good, that would be like an historically great first round. It's usually about 30 or 40% of the first round become quality players. And so that's over half that are either out of the league or on a different team or in 2 or 3 years. So I do think we need stronger convictions, especially during the first round of the draft.
Yeah, I respect the hell out of it. And by the way, I think, if I may add to that outstanding answer, I think in an era of freezing cold takes, and I like the guy that runs, I don't know him, but I like that site. I think in an internet age where everyone is just out to pull you down, people are just afraid to look stupid, and that's part of the job. Yeah. I said something so dumb about Jalen Brunson 3 years ago that I wake up to every morning. Guess what? I was wrong. It happens. It's part of the deal. Dude, Chris, you're so good at what you do. So let's get into give me a grade, a bad grade or two. Give me the guy. And by the way, if it's changed a little bit from when it's live, that's fine, because I do know how that goes. You're right. It's hard to do stuff live, and you do get the benefit of hindsight. What pick, and I mean not just the guy but the team, do you dislike? Is there a pick or two that you just think is most likely to be a bust or be problematic or not work out from last night?
Dallas Cowboys selecting Tyler Guyton, the offensive tackle from Oklahoma. So the story with him is, pre-combine, you watch his film, or I had heard from some scouts, hey, you got to watch this Oklahoma offensive tackle. He's sleek, but he's really athletic. I watch him on film. I see the fluidity, but when it comes to, those combo blocks that are so important, getting to the second level as a run blocker, I didn't see a lot of explosion. But he looks like a tight end. He looks like he needs to add a lot of weight to his frame, and is certainly not stiff. Then he goes to the combine, and everyone's expecting, go back and look at, who could blow up the combine. You'll see articles. It's going to be Tyler Guyton. He's going to have this freaky combine. He's raw, but he's going to go early because of that. Then he doesn't test very well at the combine. So the, oh my God, he's so athletic label is not really there. Like, I don't think he was really deserving of that. Now, he's relatively younger. He hasn't played a ton of football, didn't get 50, 60 starts at offensive tackle at Oklahoma. And it kind of felt like the Cowboys were like, look, we just need to address the offensive line after Tyron Smith leaves in free agency. We don't have a lot of stability there, or as much as they did. So that one pick late in the first round, I thought he was more of a second or even a third rounder that the Cowboys picked, I think late 20s.
All right, Chris, let me, man, there's so many ways we could go. Is there anybody that's, obviously there's a lot of rounds to go. Is there anybody that's out there, either just on your big board or specifically for a team, that you think is a steal to be had coming up next?
Yeah, Javon Baker, wide receiver from UCF. And there are still a bunch of teams, including the Bills, and I think the Bills chief among them, need a wide receiver and probably need two. But Javon Baker's story is really interesting that, of course, we had, 6 receivers go in the first round, or 7 receivers go in the first round last night. There's still Ladd McConkey from Georgia, A.D. Mitchell from Texas, a bunch of big names at that kind of sexy position still available. Javon Baker is probably going to be picked later second round tonight or even into the third round. Started at Alabama, was a decent-sized recruit, transfers to UCF, and then averages almost 20 yards per catch for the Golden Knights. And you watch his film, he's 6'1", over 200 pounds, and can really do it all. Beats press at the line with pretty good regularity, bendy, flexible to create separation. The athleticism is there. And he had the 4th highest contested catch win rate. We saw that all with Roma Dunze, that he was bringing down all those difficult catches in traffic. Javon Baker wasn't too far behind Roma Dunze. And I think with Javon Baker, he just gives you that well-rounded skill set that now it's easy for fans to think, oh, any receiver my team picks, he's not good at this, or he's not really that, he has too many weaknesses. Javon Baker, I don't really think has a ton of weaknesses. He's not the fastest receiver in the class, but this is a former Alabama wide receiver who I think is going to be picked at great value tonight in the second or the third round. All
right, Chris, I lied. I have one last question. I'm curious how you feel about Malik Neighbors and the Giants, and just how you see that guy doing with that organization.
Well, there certainly were some concerns about him pre-draft that, being in a big city, that he's kind of a diva already. And I mean,